It's Jennifer Cramer Lewis here, and I am back with an amazing guest today. This is my friend Sheri Berke, and she's like a financial wellness expert. And like right now, everybody that I know, and including myself, we're all feeling a little bit afraid, a little bit, sort of off kilter financially, even if you do have a day-to-day job that you're able to take remote. Luckily, I have an online business, so my business is still available. However, people are really wondering, like, where's my next dollar coming from? Where's my next client coming from? When I go to the grocery store, will I be able to buy the things that I normally like to buy for myself, for my family? Are the prices going to go up? Are we heading into a recession? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And so I thought today, one of the coolest things that I could do is to bring on somebody who's just so relaxed about all of this. But before we start, if this is the first time you've seen my face, my name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis, and I work with entrepreneur couples to help them grow their business profitably, sustainably, joyfully, keeping their fights clean and their sex dirty. My clients double their take home and triple the amount of quality time that they're spending together. And so right now, quality time is where it's at. If you have been moved home, if your business has been moved home, you might be fighting about money. And, what if we could receive over the next 30 minutes some beautiful sort of calm awareness about some things that we can do with our money and what we can do to start saving our money. So Sheri has an amazing story. She was not in great financial shape, and she managed to heal those wounds that allowed her to be in that not great financial shape. And she has like an amazing story. So Sheri, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what your invitation is for people today, if you don't mind? And thank you for joining us. Yay!
Yay! I'm so happy to be here, Jennifer. Thank you for that invitation to spend some time with you and your audience. I have a background in finance and accounting. I was trained as an accountant, and I spent time in large organizations and small ones working with business owners on their business strategy, their financial strategy, integrating that into their business and creating processes and systems to support that. And I thought I had the world by the tail, that I was invincible. And then we hit a bump in the economy, and a company I had been working with gave me, at my own suggestion, my papers, and I found myself completely adrift. And I realized I had been living to the max of my paycheck, and worse, well in debt. And then without a steady income, it was like, oh no, now what? So it in many ways resembled some of the things that are going on today. And I had to kind of pull myself up from my bootstraps and look at where I was and what I did next. Of course, that was after I kind of pulled the covers over my head for a little while.
Right.
And said, yes, I'm going to wake up. This is going to be a bad dream and everything will be back where it was. Well, it wasn't. So I really had to look at where I was and to have some self-compassion for what my situation looked like, and to give myself permission to feel maybe I hadn't done the best I could at the time, but today was the new day. And I could formulate a plan after I truly looked at where I was, and then move forward. And that's what I did. It took time, and over time, I developed skills and ways of looking at what I had, and began to work with others to see where they were, to forgive themselves for where they were if it wasn't what they wanted, and formulate a path to create what they desired. And that's what I do with my clients today. So I am delighted to spend a few minutes with you chatting a bit about that, because today it is so relevant.
It's so relevant. And you guys, just listen to Sheri. Doesn't she just make you feel more relaxed? You know, she's not some person who's like, well, I've done it all right, so I'm going to show you how to do it right, people. You know, she's like, well, I had a face plant. I, gave myself a little pity party. I put a time limit on my pity party. I figured out how to do what it was that I needed to do to pull my socks up financially. And then not only did I do that for myself, I started to do it for my community. And right now, you guys, reaching out, doing things for your community. I mean, please, yes, help yourself first. You first, and then everybody else second. Right now, it's like put your gas mask on.
Yep.
And make sure that your oxygen, the finances are coming into your household. And then really do start to reach out. If you're a person who's never done any community service, then now's actually the time, because I really believe that the universe is a give and receive system. And so those of us who have been giving hard, it's time for us to start to receive. And the people who aren't giving and they have no intention of giving, oh well. We'll see what happens to those people. So Sheri,
Yes.
I know that you have a gift for us, you guys. I'm going to include the gift in the show notes. But can you maybe synthesize 2 or 3 things that you think that people should be doing right now to start to have the money not be broadcasted so much in their lives? Like be cognizant of where the money's going. I mean, the tips, I kind of don't want to call it saving money right now. I kind of want to call it synthesizing money, if that makes sense, you guys.
It does.
Like, yeah. So how can people synthesize their finances right now, synthesize their money right now? What do you know?
Well, some of it has to do with, if you minimize some of what you have to put out there, you actually wind up with more in your pocket. And in some ways, it doesn't matter whether you've earned the money to put into your pocket or you've stopped spending money to put it in your pocket.
Yes.
And so some of the ways, and many of us have more time today to actually stop and do some of the things that we thought we needed to do. And a couple that come to mind quickly are, we have grown accustomed to using credit for many things. But do we look at the cost of that credit? Everywhere you hear, oh, the interest rates are going down and the interest rates have been cut. Well, we don't always see that translate to the interest rate on our personal finances, our personal loans, our mortgages, any of that. It doesn't happen automatically. We have to take a little action. And some of that action could start with calling your credit card company and having a conversation. Look, I'm paying 18, 20% on this credit card. I know it seems outrageous, doesn't it? But there's even 25% out there.
It's
And
the
yet,
average, you guys. That's
And
the
yet,
average on your Visa or your MasterCard.
and yet we hear, oh, interest rates have been cut to 0%. Well, have a conversation with your banker and say, and ask them, how can you reduce the interest rate on my credit card? And if they say, oh, that is impossible, then it might be time to have a conversation with someone else within the bank. And of course, the end result could be the conversation that says, maybe it is time I found someone else to work with.
Mm.
It's certainly the last result, but it's how can you help me? How do you want to save my relationship working with you, especially if you've been with the same financial institution for years, or in many cases, decades. And these things don't happen automatically. You have to take the action. And maybe you don't get very far. Or maybe they say you need to do X, Y, and Z, including improve your credit rating, and then ask for specifics.
Yes.
And that way you know what action you need to take. And there are offers out there that are much lower introductory rates. And it may be worthwhile to take the action, even though it sometimes is a challenge to go and do those kinds of things. In the end result, it is more money in your pocket, and that's what we're looking for. The same applies with business loans and mortgages. I was talking to a banker the other day and they said, we are so busy writing new mortgages because the interest rates are all-time lows. Take the action, inquire. If you have your favorite mortgage broker, call them. They probably aren't calling you right now because they are so busy, but they certainly won't say no to more business. So ask. There are also things that are starting to percolate everywhere about loans coming from various government authorities here in the States, and I'm sure they're also
Absolutely, in
in
Canada.
Canada. So spend a little time, inquire, see what's possible to reduce the cost of your personal borrowing, your business borrowing, maybe even expand a line of credit so you've got room to do some of that opportunity investing in your business that you've wanted to do. Now's the perfect time. Things are in some places very quiet, so you can spend time making changeovers and changes.
Oh
So
my goodness, that's so great. So you guys, what I heard from that is, there is the availability for you to be very proactive, to phone your bank, to phone your credit card company and ask them, hey, what do you have for me? Like, I really require this. I am in transition. I may not want to do business with you. I may actually find a new credit card company that's willing to offer me very favorable terms. You may have the ability to get a secured line of credit on your home right now to carry you through this. Like there's a whole bunch of different options for you out there. And if you're feeling flabbergasted about the options, I really do recommend that you reach out to Sheri. I'm sure she's available to have a conversation with you. She does have a business, so she may have some products that she might want to suggest that you purchase, or some offers that you can come into for some sessions with her. I know that she's a very generous person, and so we don't want to take advantage of her generosity, but she certainly will have a conversation with you about that. So Sheri, how, like in a household, What's the number two thing that you would recommend that people do to synthesize what money that they do have available to them?
Well, the one that pops up straight away is looking at all of the things that you have subscribed to.
Oh, yeah.
And, goodness knows, I'll look at my bank statement and there's this subscription for this, and there's this one for that, and 3 or 4 for live streaming, this or that. And in reality, do you use all of them? Or are you well past the time that you are lining other people's pockets and keep the money in yours? I know over the last couple of months, even before this whole thing started, excuse me, I started looking at what could I cut back on without hurting what I'm doing. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Do I have subscriptions I'm not using? And I know literally over the course of a year, I saved myself hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I kept the money in my pocket, in my bank account. How many news services are you subscribed to? How many music services? How many television or cable or live streaming services? And sometimes we forget we even subscribed, and we'll look at it and overlook it monthly when we see our bank statement. There are other things, that software that we buy. I know I must have had 3 or 4 services I subscribed to that I may not have even used to start with, or I used once or twice and decided, oh, I don't think so, and never went back to use it again. And yet I keep paying and paying and paying. So the same thing with magazines. I used to receive a half a dozen every single month. And they just piled up because I didn't want to get rid of them until I'd at least read them. And then I had the clutter that I then had to deal with.
Yeah.
So I finally said, it's time to let go of these. And if I want one, I can always buy a one-off every now and again. But there are literally hundreds of dollars of potential in subscriptions in your bank account.
I love that. So what I'm hearing from this, Sheri, is for people to just do an audit. Like, what services are you using? And you guys know that I invite you to ask your body, like, does this service actually add to us, body? Does this service actually add to our business? Does this service, create something more? And, because if you love it, like, gosh, I remember getting paper glossy magazines. I haven't done that in years. But, like, really, if that's inviting you to go and sit in a beautiful sunlit corner and, look at something beautiful for a half an hour, then keep your magazines. But if it's something that isn't productive, if it's something that's not actually adding to your life or your business or your financial flows, then get rid of it. Be ruthless right now. I think we're going to have to be. And, not to be alarmist, but, if this stuff that's happening right now goes on for, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, what money will you have to synthesize in order to be able to do your everyday? And then looking at your client profile, is your client profile changing right now? Do those services actually help you attract more clients? And if they don't, then it's time for them to go. If they're not paying for themselves, if they're not, either filling up your body or filling up your bank account, then it's really time for them to go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Sheri, I wonder, can you tell us about your gift that you have given us? Explain what's in there and let us know what delights that we have.
Well, it's called 101 Ways to Save Money. And I like your word, synthesize money. And in it are 101 little tips that one at a time you can take action on. And it includes a couple of the things we've just talked about. Some of them are certainly more applicable to your personal affairs. Some of them can be creative and applied within your business. So it's an opportunity to have an idea to spark an action that you can then synthesize money in your pocket.
I love that, you guys, because sometimes what I've noticed actually, even with myself, to be vulnerable, like there's sort of a deer in the headlights thing that's happening with a lot of us.
Mhm.
And so if you can like download this list, have a look at it, start to ask some questions about it, like, oh, are any of these things something that I can do right now to start synthesizing money and have it show up? And like, I just find a checklist is so valuable. And so I'm going to put this in the show notes, so scroll down and grab that list. And Sheri, what is it that you like? Why is this your calling? What is it that you love about working with people, helping them synthesize more money, helping them, like, heal these wounds that are causing them to maybe overspend or not be all that conscious about the money that's going out? What do you love?
Oh, I love to see people move from a point of being paralyzed and in pain to seeing an opportunity, to seeing hope, and then being able to create a path with them that they can then move out of the pain and fulfill their life in the hope. And that just makes me happy.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's so gorgeous. That is so gorgeous, you guys. Yeah, that's so awesome. So, you guys, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. I know there's a lot of stuff that's distracting us or engaging us. That's one of the things that I would love for you to even be conscious of, because your time really is valuable. So, maybe even do an audit of the time that you're spending in each
Mhm.
area of your life right now. I'm a big advocate for time blocking. So um, have a look at how much time that you're spending in each area of your life and really start to ask some questions about that. Like, if I'm spending 4 hours a day on Netflix, is that actually adding to my life? Is
Mhm.
it adding to my body? Is it adding to my financial flows? And if it's not, then, maybe give yourself an hour, to watch something super sweet at the end of
Mhm.
the day to help yourself decompress. And what are you going to do with the other 3 hours? Like, maybe you could go through Sheri's list. Maybe you could tap into some of my other guests and see what they're inviting you to.
Mhm.
Because right now, we do have time. We do. And how
Mhm.
we're spending our time, especially if you can be more systematic about how you're spending your time, I would love for you to have a look at that for yourself. As always, reach out to me. If it's a 5-minute conversation via text message, I am so available for that. I do tend to work with entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneur couples in business together. There's a new level of complexity in relationships right now, especially if both couples are working from home. So definitely reach out. Sheri, if there's something that you could say to people or offer to people in the last couple of minutes, what would you like to let them know?
Well, the thing that comes to mind is we are spending more time at home, and we are spending more time concerned. What I'd suggest is have some of these tough conversations. Have some of the conversations about money and your fears, but don't have them in the bedroom. Create create a safe space. Maybe it's your virtual office. Maybe it's the living room. Maybe it's the family room. Have those conversations there, end the conversations with love and caring, and then move into the bedroom. Don't start them in the bedroom.
I love that. Thank you so much. I actually have a class that's available for you guys. So if you PM me or DM me, I have a class about how to have a clean fight.
Exactly.
Because I'll tell you what, most of us haven't been taught how to have a clean fight. And, you know, like, I just think that there's so many relationships out there. And, you know, I watch people that I know who have gone from relationship to relationship, and they take their baggage with them and recreate the same problems. And I would say that that's my number one thing that I don't want people to be doing right now, is recreating the same problems over and over again on a, you know, a grander and grander scale. And so I love that advice, Sheri. Yeah. You know, create a safe space to have a conversation about your finances with your spouse, about the people who live in your house. It's never too early to include your children in a conversation about money. And, you know, really help them to start building the skills and the financial acumen to be able to have money in the future for themselves, to be able to have a clean fight with their spouse when they get married or get into a relationship. That's really valuable to me. And that's probably one of the things that I stand for most, is for you to have the life that works for you, that's truly delightful, to have the bank account that works for you, that's truly delightful, and to have a business that works for you. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Well,
for joining me.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for inviting me. And I really would like to say that your energy and what you stand for and the programs that you offer add so much value to people, to couples, especially couples working together. And it's an important conversation in the world as we know it today.
Well, thank you, Sheri. I certainly love what I do, and I can so see how you love what you do and how it's so valuable as well. So you guys, please reach out and tune in tomorrow. I'm going to have somebody super groovy for you guys to check out tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow. See you soon. Bye, guys.